It is always an iconic moment when Kanye West starts to gear up to drop a new album, and there is a lot of stuff that has been surfacing online from, private listening parties to studio sessions with Tyler, the Creator. The list goes on, and guys, we are going to be going through everything we know about this new Kanye West album. So guys, leave your expectations for this new Kanye West album in the comment sections because, man, that's what we're going to be talking about today. It's exciting to, finally get this rollout starting, and fuck it, man, we're getting new Kanye music
Yeah,
soon.
and if you guys are new here, we're going to be covering everything from this Kanye rollout and, of course, the album review when it finally drops. And this is so exciting because we've gotten word that there will be an actual listening party and an album launch for this new Kanye album. And this comes off of a site called churchlv.churchcenter.com. And if you go into the actual description of it, in the details, you see that Kanye West is hosting a private album launch party with Church LV family and friends, and this is going to be on July 18th, 2021. Doors open at 5:30, and the show starts at 6:30 and ends at 8 p.m., so about an hour and a half. So maybe that's going to be the album length, I'm not sure, but this is huge news because every time that he's in a listening party, the albums come not so long after. So
absolutely,
how soon do you think this thing's coming, and are you excited?
Well, I had already started getting ideas that this thing was probably going to drop with Consequences Instagram post this week, and that at the time of this recording we have limited information, so we're going to keep you guys updated when we get more information about the album through posts and other stuff. But seeing that he was working with different people and seeing that the mask was reoccurring, and he started doing his whole public rollout as he usually does, I'm like, okay, he's definitely gearing up to drop something. And then kind of makes perfect sense because he was also featured on Pop Smoke's second posthumous album that dropped a couple of days ago. So I'm like, okay, this could be a really good way for him to start getting the name fresh again for his listeners to start gearing up and training their ears to get in with it. So talking about that and going back to the Faith posthumous album, he was swearing on that. So do you think maybe he's going back to rapping now and that it's going to be a bit less gospel infused? And how did you feel about the track list also that surfaced?
Yeah, so there's a lot of news coming, man, and there's so much to cover. But to start off with the actual Consequence post on Twitter and Instagram, he posted, that 10-second snippet of Kanye and Tyler working in the studio. And you hear a 10-second snippet where Kanye, you can actually hear him say, "I'm that ramped up, I'm on 10. And 10 would mean, his 10th studio album. Not only that, but in the actual caption, we have Khan's TV exclusive, Ye and Tyler, epic level, summer 21, which just confirms our suspicions that this album will be coming in 2021. And the fact that, Tyler will be probably on the album is super exciting. I feel like that moment, on July 16th was, Kanye showing the finished album to Tyler. And it's exciting because, their collaborations on songs like Smuckers and Puppet are phenomenal. And we've never heard Tyler on a Kanye album, so this is new. And I mean, in terms of the sounds that we heard from that snippet, it sounds very, I would say soul sample based.
Yeah, I think he's going back to his old soul samples, especially that apparently he's been working with Selena Johnson for vocals, and she did the vocals, I believe, for All Falls Down.
She did the chorus on there, man, and that's one of Kanye's best, choruses ever.
Absolutely, and what's crazy is that already we have a track list that we could kind of go after because you saw the whiteboard and back in the video. I'm gonna go through all the tracks. There's 10 of them. The first one being Donda, second one being Remote, third one being Daylight, fourth Jonah, fifth Hurricane, sixth No Child Left Behind, seven Be You Again, 8 I Know God, Breathe It on This, and then 9 24 You're Gonna Be Okay, and then 10 Come to Life. So we were talking earlier about how he was swearing on the Pop Smoke album and how there could be a hip-hop influence into this next album, but the thing is that there's still gospel influence within the branding of the rollout and still within the track list. So how do you think that's going to be able to fuse together?
It's going to be interesting because I feel like, if you look at Kanye's catalog as a whole, the religious content matter has been there since the very beginning.
Absolutely.
I mean, take a song like Jesus Walks, for example, and it's crazy how if you look at, his first album and his most recent album, that kind of messaging of religious content matter has always been there. We're seeing with this rollout with the masks that, there's that Jesus imagery on the masks. And of course, I mean, with the Sunday service and everything else that's been going on, we know that he's still, in that religious zone. And I feel like with this track list, I mean, I think he's going to approach, that sort of content matter amongst other things. I think that, with this album, he's going to have an agenda, maybe to enforce, I would say, religion more into, school curriculums, and maybe just push it further into society. And he's going to do it with a sound that is reminiscent of his earlier work. Maybe he's going to bring back that chipmunk soul sample sound that, he kind of innovated on The College Dropout. And it's interesting, too, because a source close to Kanye and Irina Shayk, which is his girlfriend, obviously, has said that the new music that he's working on is, very happy and very reminiscent of his earlier work. So does that excite you? And is that the kind of Kanye that you want?
Listen, I haven't heard it in such a long time, especially like after, well, when he made that switch, I feel as if it kind of happened at graduation where he started getting into anthem music, and then, 808s and Heartbreak, and then MBDTF obviously went into different directions sonically, and then, he obviously did Yeezus, and then The Life of Pablo, then, you got Jesus is King, so he's been all over the place, but somewhere where I haven't seen Kanye go in a long time, are those soul samples and really taking that direction with it. So yes, I'll be happy. By the way, apparently him and Irina are just friends. That's what I had heard, especially like off of.
There's so many rumors right now, man.
We can't confirm that. But going back to the video, I don't know where it's gonna go, because it's kind of like with Jesus is King, like it was so gospel to the point where there was no swearing. The content matter was extremely religious focused, and that it was really about preaching the word of God. And now it's kind of like, okay, he's kind of gearing and preparing fans up for maybe more swearing on the album and that sort of content matter. So how do you feel about that? Are you happy about that, or do you want him to maybe stick with the Jesus is King formula?
I'm very happy that he's returning to this old sound, and I feel like we're gonna be returning now to this classic era of Kanye West. And I feel like, what I want most out of this project, from what I've heard so far, is, songs like Family Business or songs like Everything I Am, where Kanye is getting super introspective and is making actual, songs that have concepts to them. If you look at a song like Gorgeous, for example, where he tackles racial profiling, that's the Kanye that I want. I want Kanye to make dope music, but also have, his views explore into the world, because he never holds back. That's what I love about Kanye West, is that, he's always very upfront about his views and his takes on society. And that's what I want to see him, give us on this new project.
Absolutely. Man. And I think that's where he's going to strive the best right now, is giving that sort of introspection on his life, because obviously it's probably been a rough past couple of years for Kanye, especially when, going through the whole mental health crisis, in 2018, and then obviously all the political backlash, and then
the divorce,
like it's been rough for him. And I feel as if like more than ever, he just wants to get music out there that he enjoys. And, he's also back in Hawaii, and he was cooking for this album. So,
at the same studio where he made My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, okay, there's some patterns here of going back to some, old habits of making the album and going back to that. So, do you think this could be an album of the year contender?
Oh, 100%. Anytime that Kanye drops, I mean, that the bar is just, it's so elevated. And yes, Jesus is King was probably the weakest in his discography, but you can never count Kanye out, and he obviously has one of the best discographies of all time. But I do want to talk about kind of our expectations for this listening party, because this could be the event that really sets everything into motion.
Yes, sir.
And what we know right now is that it's going on in Vegas, and that Big Sean apparently is already in Vegas. And we have confirmation that Kanye's in Vegas, because he was spotted with Ice Cube at the Big 3 basketball game on, I believe, July 17th, which is, the time that we're recording this. So he's already in Vegas. I'm guessing that, he's getting, ready to have that album launch party all set up. So what do you think is going to happen there? Do you think he's going to play the full album? Do you think he'll play just a few tracks? And what do you think this is, playing into long term?
I don't know. I think we're gonna see a whole different creative direction by Kanye. Regardless, it's so hard to call sort of. How could I say it? It's like make speculation calls about Kanye's future music, because he always goes into somewhere completely different with each one of his drops. But based on what we've been hearing, especially maybe with the snippet of the Lauryn Hill sample where he was on the boat,
I think that was called Believe What I Say.
So there's a lot of different things going around, but it's sort of pushing towards, okay, he's trying to bring back this old Kanye aesthetic with different content matter where he could update us about his life. And honestly, like, I like what you were saying about Gorgeous and Family Business, about getting into that sort of introspective mode. Songs like Everything I Am are some of my favorite Kanye songs, and have some of his best material. So when Kanye gets introspective like that and he's able to give you those personal anecdotes, I feel as if that's when he's at his best. And I also love when he's handling all of his own production and when he's really going hard on those soul samples, because listen, it's inspired a whole industry to do so as well.
It has.
It has spawned so many different careers. It has done wonders for the industry, and it's given us some of the most timeless music that we've gotten in over, like, let's say 3 decades of hip hop music. So I'm excited, man.
And it's just interesting that, you know, with Washington the Blood, we kind of got the vibe that he might be returning to a sound that's more similar to Yeezus in terms of production, where you have those industrial and very manic sounds. So it's cool to see him kind of maybe have scrapped, you know, Donda, or maybe this is Donda, who knows at this point. But the point is that, you know, Kanye is always creating. He's always in the studio. We've seen him, you know, with Playboi Carti. We've seen him with Travis Scott because, you know, they were rocking the same mask. So in terms of the collaborators, your guess is as good as mine and as good as anybody else's, because Kanye is literally everywhere at all times. And this project will be one of the most remembered of 2021. And we all need this, man.
Absolutely.
We all need it.
So listen, guys, thank you for sticking through the whole video. And listen, at the time of this recording, we only have limited information on this Kanye album. So as stuff continues to come out, we will be keeping you guys updated. Excuse me. And listen, man, you know, Kanye's dropping a new album. It's going to be an event, and it's a great summer already, guys. So we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for watching the video. It's always a pleasure doing content for you guys. Listen, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, because we're doing album reviews, and we actually have our series called Everything We Know, where we take you guys through the whole album rollout of the hottest releases of the year. Not only that, guys, but our Patreon plan is now live. You guys can access that in the bio. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.